Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Big West Mafia Show. I know I am not Sergeant Pickles. I am Sergeant Moen. I am filling in for Pickles tonight. He has some work stuff he has to do. So I am being a special co-host with Becky Go Huskies here. Becky, how was your weekend?
Long. It was 3 days
Yeah.
of drinking. We're good.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, feel free to drink. You're in rehab now, right?
Yeah, we're in rehab. We got the Sprite today.
Yeah, crushing the
Yeah,
water. I can feel
crushing it
that.
all. Yeah.
But we got a lot to talk about tonight. Apparently, the pack is over. According to the ACC, apparently Cal and Stanford somehow joined yesterday. We're still trying to figure it out because, as far as I know, the Big Ten is not inviting anybody until August 2nd. So all that stuff is August 2nd, but apparently the Cal mascot, the Stanford mascot, there are some mascots that are presumably missing down there at the party at SMU. The Clemson Tiger is not there. Neither is the Seminole Chief. So uh, Pac-2 is still here. Onto that. But let's take a moment of silence. Pac-12 Legendary Conference of Champions had to go away. That's why the title of this show is Four Expansions and One Funeral. Everybody expanded and we had one funeral. And we may be looking at another funeral very, very soon if what Josh Pate says is to be believed. So, Becky, I can only speak for a Big Ten guy. Been watching Big Ten football for 40 plus years. I remember the Pac as our sister conference. What's it mean to you as a Pac original?
It's a solemn day. I think I think it was yesterday or whatever that they removed every single team from the website. I was like, oh, it's real. It's a sad day. It was the Conference of Champions, most national titles out of every conference. We had the blue blood in basketball with the most national titles. We had great women's basketball for years. We had the most national titles in softball and track and field, and you find a sport, we had it, but money talks. And
Yeah,
unfortunately,
realignment. This all gets set off by one domino falling, and all of them have to fall. Any memories in particular for you that you hold special of your time in the Pac Conference?
Oh yeah. I'll never forget. I was still a kid, and I remember my dad watching the game. It was in like the late '90s, watching the quarterback for Arizona do a front flip into the end zone to win the game and against Washington. I'll never forget this past year. This winning the Sugar Bowl. I'll never forget seeing Pete Carroll's dominance in the early 2000s with USC. Who might have had the second best team in the history of college football. It's just, I'm gonna miss all that. Like, I'm gonna miss seeing, like the Oregon State's going on a run to the final, the Elite Eight when they had no business being in the tournament, but they did it. Little things like that. Oregon did it too one year. They had no business being in the tournament and made a Final Four run. I'm gonna miss those. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be definitely weird going, oh hey, where are we planning our trip to? We're gonna go to New Jersey to watch a conference game. Yeah, we're going to New Jersey to watch a conference game, or we're going to Maryland to watch a conference game.
For me, the Big Ten fan, it was always the Rose Bowl. It was the Rose Bowl matchup. Yeah. There was something magical about that January 1st afternoon, entering the third quarter when you'd see the sun start to set over the Rose Bowl. It was something magical about that as a kid. I can remember being, sitting by my grandpa Blair when David Boston caught that pass and knocked Jake Plummer, out of contention for a national championship. One of the handful of bowl games that John Cooper could win. He could win a Rose Bowl from time to time. So.
Yeah. I'm always going to remember the Rose Bowls. I was there in '91 when Washington beat Michigan and won the national title. I was there in 2000 when they beat Purdue. You know, that's like the one game. Like, I think as both Big Ten and Pac-12 fans that we're going to miss. You know, it's gone. And even if it is, but in the future we could see a Michigan and a USC or an Ohio State and a Washington, or we could see those games again. But
yeah,
they're going to be far and few between, and I think that's the saddest part about all of this.
And who knows? Maybe if expansion continues, you might end up with 6 teams out there on the West Coast, and they may all be Pac members, members of the original Pac.
Yeah. I mean, until then, though, we can all go on vacations to LA and watch games in the Rose Bowl.
There you go. So I will have a drink for the Pac-12. Becky's in recovery.
Yeah. This last weekend. Oof. I haven't been on a bender like that since I was in Vegas.
R.I.P. Pac-12. Let's say hello to some people in the chat here. Timothy Green is here first. What's up, Big West Mafia? It's going to be another great one. Thank you, Timothy. Much appreciated, sir. Sergeant Pickles, I'm a fly on the wall today, but Moen and Becky have a great show planned for you guys. We do. We're going to talk football. Glenn Luman, good morning from the Philippines. Are we seeing ACC action before fall camps? Boy, I don't know. Who knows?
No, I think
Shadow knows.
Yeah. I know they are not even scheduled. The ACC network's not even scheduled to go to Cal or Stanford until like next month.
Yeah, because again, I think that media rights do not expire until August 2nd, even though the Pac network went off the air. I believe it's the 2nd of August, correct?
Yeah.
Because I know the Big Ten has multiple different planning. They've got Big Ten Pacific Northwest, Big Ten Southern California. You're going to see all kinds of stuff. You're going to see, I'm sure, USC kicking the crap out of Ohio State in Rose Bowls. So you're going to see it all. You're going to see it all.
Yeah.
Jackson Johnson, we're going to talk about the Mountain West Conference. That's a big deal today. Big deal. Something Oregon State and Washington State should probably pay attention to as well.
Oh yeah, like that broke today, and I was like, oh. Also, kind of noticed a team that's not playing on it. We'll have to talk about that.
We will talk about that for sure. Daniel Gygax says, hi, everyone. Good to see you, Daniel. Jan Holk, he's hoping to feel better someday, and I'm hoping you will too, Jan. Feel better, dude. Keep chopping. Moment of silence for the Pac and the great Big Pac ACC Alliance. Yeah. We're all going to have different narratives to this, but I will say the free pizza rule comes into effect. You can't say no to free pizza. So, yeah.
I mean, it would have worked out well. It would have.
It could have.
It could have. I mean, but.
Moen is much more handsome than me anyway. Okay, we can agree on that. We'll agree on that one. Until you get a Moen Hawk, that's what it's going to be. Joaquin Morales. Hey, Becky, Moen, and CFM fam, don't forget to smash that like button. It's free. Stopping by for a few. That's right, folks. You can smash that like button for free. If you're not a subscriber yet, you can subscribe for free. Turn on your notifications. Get notified of all the great programming. Just this past weekend, we had some fantastic programming. We had Bomber's interview with John Canzano last night premiered. I did a full show with Big Ten Ted last night talking about Big Ten football, and we did touch on Oregon and Washington, USC, and UCLA. So definitely, if you haven't checked that stuff out yet, check it out. It's cool. Connor Johnson said, had to go away. I see what you're saying, Connor. I appreciate it. It's not that I don't feel sympathy or empathy for the Beavers and the Cougars, but the minute the SEC took Texas and Oklahoma, somebody was going to have to get stabbed. And unfortunately, it was the Pac. Pac got the shank. Um, but I think Oregon State and Washington State will land on their feet in a power conference. Let's see. Connor says Fox killed the Pac-12 to save the Big.
I mean, there's a lot of things that killed the Pac-12. Fox obviously could have said no to the additions, but they weren't going to say no.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Free pizza doctrine,
Yeah.
people. If Domino's shows up at my door right now with free pizza, I'm eating that pizza. No questions asked.
Yeah, and you can't be mad at the schools who are like, oh, hey, can we join your conference? And then they come back like, yes, you have to join it. And this is the amount. They're not going to say it. It was too much money to say no to. Can't blame anybody. It's a business first. Athletics is a business. It's not academics. So
Timothy Green says, what I don't like about conferences breaking up is that all of the rivalry games that are involved and the fans as well.
Yeah. I mean, Timothy would know. He's a Mountaineer. They lost that Pitt game.
And the Virginia Tech game.
Yeah. They haven't played those games in like years.
No, they played Pitt last year.
Yeah.
Last year or the year before, yeah.
Yeah.
But they have to be scheduled as out of conference games. But as Big Ten Ted said last night on my show, if you got to think about some of these new rivalries we could see. I'd love to see Oregon versus Ohio State on a yearly basis. Bucks versus Ducks. I'd love to see Washington against Wisconsin for the Big W. USC, Michigan State, the Trojan War Trophy. I mean, there's lots of cool things that we could do out there.
Yeah, we don't have any trophy games. The 4 new teams. No trophy games. They don't exist. Even our rivalries, USC and UCLA have their one trophy game, which their rivalry game, but Washington and Oregon don't play for a trophy. We can't even, we hate each other so much we can't agree on a trophy. So like it'll be a thing. Like we don't have any trophy games. And we got to start thinking of good trophy game names. The Big W sounds good.
I propose the bow down jump around. Washington is bow down, Wisconsin is jump around, the bow down jump around.
Could work.
Sergeant Pickles, I'm just saying the big championship should be at or alternate with the Rose Bowl. I think it should alternate. I think you should probably have one in. I think once all this expansion settles, you should have one for each conference division, whatever we're going to refer to these pods as, have a game in Miami one year, have a game in LA one year, have a game in Indy one year, have a game in New York one year.
I think the biggest thing would be could we fill the 100,000 seats at the Rose Bowl for a title game on a week's notice?
Depends on the teams playing in the game.
Yeah.
I know if Ohio State's playing in that game, you probably can.
Probably can't. USC would fill it.
Yeah, USC would fill it.
Washington could fill it.
Oregon could probably fill it.
They're Michigan would fill it. Like you just
Iowa,
start getting down there though.
Yeah.
You just start. Yeah. Once you get down the list, you're like, who's gonna fill it on a week's notice? And it's like if you end up with, this could be a thing, random year where it's Purdue. Because we've seen Purdue in the last 30 years win the title, win the conference. I mean, and they played in it recently. Could a Purdue versus like a Minnesota fill it? I don't know.
Luis Carlos Diaz, SDSU never received the pro rata, and now the Pac-12 is dead. I'm still hoping they can rebuild with 6 Mountain West schools, maybe some AAC schools in Calford and SMU after the ACC explodes.
Yeah.
I think that's ultimately what might happen.
I think so too.
And I think they're trending that way. That's why we've seen this release. But let's go ahead. We'll use that as a jumping off point. We'll talk about the Mountain West here. For those who are uninitiated, today this was released. The Mountain West has reached a multi-year agreement with TNT Sports to air college football games on True TV and Max, beginning with 14 games this season. So now you mentioned that somebody was left off of here. Who was left off?
There's no Boise State on that
No
schedule.
Boise State.
No Boise State. So the big eyeball team not playing on it. What also is curious, there's no UNLV, right? But there's also a lot of San Jose State. A lot of San Jose State.
Which is one of the teams that's been mentioned for that rebuilt, but it's always been the odd man out that San Jose State is
so
not on par with the other Mountain West schools.
I kind of got to see the draft list on where they ranked all of them. And I can tell you San Jose State was actually 6 over UNLV.
Okay.
UNLV wasn't even in the top 9, which is really weird, but it's because nobody watches UNLV. They're not a big and most of the fans that show up at UNLV games are the other teams. But San Jose State, let's say if they did rebuild the Pac and the ACC crumbled and Stanford and Cal needed a home, they would control all of Northern California with Fresno, Sacramento State, or San Jose State, Cal, and Stanford.
Right. Do you think maybe this could be a chance to increase the profile for San Jose State
I think increase it.
Now, do you think the Mountain West is going to do that? Do you think, because obviously they're going to get poached by this former Pac 12, the new now Pac 2. Why would they?
I think it's the networks doing it. I think you're looking at the future network. I think you're looking at one of the future networks. Turner lost the NBA. People forget that. Turner lost out on the NBA. Essentially, all they have right now is some soccer for MLS and the U.S. national team, and then I think a couple of WNBA games or NWSL. It's NWSL, so it's just women's soccer. They still have boxing, but that's always pay-per-view. And boxing doesn't generate the eyeballs it used to either. And they compete with Showtime, aka CBS, for that. So this is a big deal for them because this is a good test. True TV shows the basketball games, obviously during the tournament, but this is a good test, and it's to see if they're basically doing this to see if they can generate eyeballs and how much eyeballs. But I think it is weird. No Boise. That is a weird one to me. Out of all the schools, you should have had Boise on here at least once, but nowhere to be found. So
yeah, that is very odd.
They have everybody else but them, and obviously UNLV, but they're just propping up eyeballs. They're building something here. Like these, Fresno State's only they're at New Mexico. That doesn't make any sense. You're going to put that game on TV, but not Fresno State and Boise, or, maybe those are, Fresno State and Boise, maybe they don't play. I don't know off the top of my head, but you would think if I was them, I would love to have that game, but obviously this is way down the tier. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of early games in there I noticed too. 1:30 Mountain Time, 2 p.m. Mountain Time. They're going to be competing head-to-head with the big boys during those time slots.
Yeah, I said that to a few people with the when the Pac-2 schedule came out. I was like, Oregon State and Washington State got a lot of day games. They're not going to see the eyeballs I think you expect.
Yeah, I think they missed an opportunity here not filling in the Pac after dark spot.
Yeah, because 7:30 start like New Mexico State, Fresno State. That's going to be good. 6:30 Fresno State, New Mexico. That's Mountain Time, but that's still prime time. That's 5:30. That's 8:30 Eastern. That's prime time. They're going to be playing those games in prime time. That's smart. But I'm like you. I don't understand playing a 12:30 in the afternoon game. With FCS Idaho at Wyoming. I'll be honest with you. I don't. That's a waste. That's a wasted game.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, Becky. This is probably a test run to see how things work out for college football on the Turner system, broadcasting systems.
Yeah, because I think they're probably also trying to get a few. Well, they are going to show college football playoff games, so they're
But
going to
that'll
use
be on
these.
TNT.
That'll be
That
on
won't be on
TNT,
True TV.
but still the same company. It's still Warner.
Right.
It's still Time Warner, and they're going to use these games to work out the kinks.
And they're also going to be on Max. So,
Yep.
if you don't have cable, you want a streaming app to watch those games, you're going to have to go with the Max app.
Yeah. Which, again, not a bad thing. It's you get double the audience, essentially, with the streaming, and you can watch it anywhere. But, yeah, some of these games are head scratchers for me, but I think it's just a test run, and I think they're doing it to boost some ratings for some teams.
Jeff 58 says Keith Jackson is rolling over in his grave. Poor Keith Jackson.
Well, he's rolling over in his grave when his beloved Cougars were left out.
Yeah. Let me see if I've got a Whoa Nelly here for you. Well, and sometimes it plays and sometimes it doesn't, folks. That's the way cheap tablets work. Yeah. You can just imagine him saying.
I can hear it. Like,
Whoa, Nelly!
There it is.
Whoa, Nelly! We got a barn burner here today.
Yeah, I mean, the moment the Cougars weren't in a power conference anymore, he was like, he started rolling over. So,
Marcus Williams says it's a sad day for the Pac and the Big 12. I think if you talk to some of these Big 12 people, they might tell you different. I think a lot of them are glad to be rid of Texas and Oklahoma at this point.
Feels like it. I agree with Texas. Like, they hate Texas. Like, hate Texas. I didn't realize how much hate there was for the Longhorns until the last 2 years. And now today they're like, we don't have to worry about them anymore. And they're like, they were doing everything and they ran the conference and they haven't won anything like 20 years. I'm like, oh my God, there's a lot of hate for these guys. But the SEC already hates them. So,
yeah, that's when you come out with press release that SEC is going to be covered in burnt orange, and you're basically putting that on everybody's calendar. Everybody circled those games on their calendar now. So, good luck, Texas. You better bring it because even Mississippi State's probably going to be bringing their A game for that one.
Yeah. In the famous words of Deion Sanders, they coming.
They coming.
They're coming. And by the way, the Big 12 didn't put anything out today either.
Yeah.
So the Big 10 and the Big 12 just kind of were like, eh.
Yeah. We'll wait. We'll let them have their day.
Let me say this, though. The ACC not just celebrating the one school in SMU.
Well, but they're having a big party in Dallas. So, of course, funded by SMU boosters. Speaking of funding, we've got our own booster. Jeff 58 says too expensive to add 6 Mountain West teams, 105.5 mil for 6, plus 17 to 34 mil exit fees per team. That's from 202.5 to 304.5 mil for 6 teams. But I don't know when the grant of rights is up for the Mountain West.
They go into their contract talks here soon.
Yeah,
I think they've already started them. But yeah, they're going to start their contract talks, I think, this year.
And I think Oregon State and Washington State just want to wait and see what happens first because there's still that off chance they could wind up in the ACC.
Yeah, and they have $250 million that they can't spend. Yeah. They cannot spend that money. It's just they're not allowed to spend it until August 2nd, 2026. So they got time. They do have to kind of like start the ball now, and that's why that stuff came out. I told everybody, it was like they got like an 18-month window where they have to have things ready to go, and they're in that window. So
yeah, we'll see. I'm sure they've got contingencies upon contingencies. Thank you for the $5 super chat, sir.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
will let you cook.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
There you go. Jackson Johnson says Cal Wake Forest ACC after dark. Good grief.
ACC after dark.
Yeah.
Can't get any more wild than the Pac-12 after dark. Oh my God.
Wake Forest versus Cal. I cannot think of a game I would less like to see.
I can't even. Well, SMU and everybody. Oh, I say it out loud.
That's
No.
true too. Scavin, yes, says sorry. Hello, Miss Becky.
Why, hello, and thank you. We're in mourning for the next 30 days until we resurrect ourselves and zombie our way into the Big Ten. Because, I'll be honest, you can't find, you'd have to go directly to Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA, and the Arizona schools, Utah, and Colorado. You'd have to go directly to their websites to find them right now. They aren't on any website at all. So you can't just go to the Big Ten and try to find Washington. Good luck. They're not there. So
yeah, August 2nd, people.
August 2nd. It's a very weird month. It's just a weird 30 days.
Movie Time Blues. Hey, Mo, and I wonder who the actress is you showed today. That is Jennifer Connelly in Requiem for a Dream. And if you've never seen Requiem for a Dream, you will never do heroin. It is absolutely a terrifying movie, but I recommend they show it in schools. But yes, towards the end, Jennifer Connelly basically throws her dignity out the window for drugs. Kind of the same way the ACC threw their dignity out the window for SMU.
Yep. We'll take you, but we're not going to pay you. Okay, that's fine. All right, those boosters, man, they're just itching to spend their money.
But highly recommend Requiem for a Dream. It's one of
same.
his better films.
It's a great film.
Shonsky says, no, instead of the Rose Bowl, I can look forward to the Purdue, Indiana, Rutgers, Illinois, Northwestern, Minnesota matchups on the Big Ten Network. Woo-woo, great football. Shonsky is our chief resident in hating the Big Ten.
Well, he's not wrong. Although, no, I will say this. I'm going to tune in Northwestern this year, playing on the lake.
Yeah. Big Ten said, we were talking about that. Good luck if you're a throwing quarterback, because you ain't throwing any passes in that game more than 5 yards.
No. I was like, I can't wait to see the punts go 3 yards.
Yeah. That's going to be brutal. But I don't think we have to play Northwestern this year, so
yeah,
I'm happy about that.
We do. We play them here though in Seattle.
Yeah. In
September, early October. So thank God, it'll be nice.
Marcus Williams has been a member for 4 months. Oklahoma original Big 8 member. It's like losing Michigan. But you know what they said? They said pay them their money.
They did.
Tell them to bring me my money.
Yeah. So Oklahoma went hand in hand with Texas, folks. Whatever Oklahoma did, Texas was doing it just right the same. So can't really say too much about that. Thank you for being a member, Marcus Williams, and thank you for not putting the GB word in there.
Yeah. I mean, I would be like, it's like the Pac-12 losing USC, but USC wasn't a founding member.
Right. Well, and technically, Oklahoma, everybody was a founding member of the Big 12 when you think about it.
Yeah, technically.
Other than the 4
the additions.
Yeah, so.
Like TCU and the other 4 are the only ones who weren't original members.
Yeah. Clint Moses, the dark ages for Beavs truly began in the 70s. We didn't see light till the new millennium. Gary Anderson era is engraved in casual fans' minds forever.
I would say the Dennis Erickson era really got the Gary Anderson era moving, because without Dennis Erickson and I mean, Chad Ochocinco never went to class. And he says this all the time. I never went to class. Like, he was there a year. He was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, all that started that.
Some of these players you're going to find out. Like I know I know somebody in some NFL front offices, and there was a guy who came out of Georgia that could not write his name. He had to trace his name.
Well, there's a basketball player that just got like a 7 on the one, and he can't read. So things happen. So, you know, and I've said this.
But I'll tell you what, that guy had to trace his name, but he was a hell of a football player.
Yeah, they usually do. That's the weirdest thing. They can usually do everything but, like, if they're a quarterback, you're concerned. But if they're like, oh, yeah, no, it's just like some dude who's going to hit his head all the time. Okay.
Yeah. Big Ten championship game is in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium annually. There's been talk about rotating it. I had mentioned Minneapolis before. If they do get into the Southeast with a Florida State or a Miami, having a game down there, like in Orlando or something. Of course, you know, having the Rose Bowl game as well.
Yeah, I'm like,
playing at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, you could definitely do it in Indianapolis, Minneapolis. They probably could get into Vegas if they chose, and they could do Los Angeles because they all have domes. I don't know if they'd actually into the Miami Hard Rock would be a cool thing, but if I'm not a big fan of that stadium in Orlando, I think it's a dump. Like, I don't know why people keep playing there.
Well, we don't have the Orange Bowl anymore, so
nope.
Jimmy Otson says this just says that True TV gets the last pick of games.
Yeah,
that's why San Jose State's on there so much.
San Jose State, New Mexico, Mexico. Well, look at the games that are being played too. It's like San Jose State's on there, but their schedule this year didn't have anybody worth watching. They got they got a little shafted on the schedule. But yeah, New Mexico State's they don't win a lot of games. Nope. But I do like seeing Idaho on there. Watch, they're gonna win that game.
Yeah, the Vandals.
Yeah. The Vandals are good. They don't sleep on that FCS team. They're good FCS team.
Illini Ted says better move House of the Dragon to Saturday nights so they can schedule games right before or right after. That would be a hell of a lead-in. Go right from House of the Dragon to football.
You watch a dude get stabbed to death and eaten by a dragon and turn around and like, welcome to San Jose. We're here for the San Jose Spartans, San Jose State Spartans, and the blah, 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 blah. Like, oh my God, what did we just witness?
Yeah. Go right from boobs and wang to football, guys.
Yep. No better lead-in.
Mo, and it doesn't matter, these games can't compete. We all agree, but for fans of the teams they love, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't watch Rutgers. I'll be honest.
I love Rutgers. I do. I love Greg Schiano. I love what he's done with that team. I'm telling people, Rutgers is going to surprise a lot of people this year.
No, they're going to be good this year. They're going to win like 7 or 8 games.
Yeah.
The team I'm like on the fence with is Illinois. I don't know if they're going to be good or just horrible. Like, I don't think there's any between.
I think they're going to be mediocre. They're going to be a 4-8 squad.
Yeah,
maybe 5 and.
But that might be good for them. Like, that's what's so weird.
Yeah,
like, I don't know what
they could win 8 games. They could lose 8 games.
Yeah, there's no in between.
Clint Moses wants to remind us to back the Pack. I mean, Oregon State and Washington State actually landed themselves a pretty good deal for distribution of their television rights. So
got a great deal on the last minute like that. That was actually a really good deal. And then they also got, you know, a decent amount of playoff money from the next contract on the playoff. Like, they're gonna be fine. They just need, like I said, they just need to figure out what they want to do. But they're obviously going to take their time. You know, like the interview that Schultz had with Canzano last week. Basically, everything's on the table. They're not gonna like get tunnel vision, he said, and they're gonna let things play out and let the pros outweigh the cons and on which direction they choose. So I know I can tell you the other 10 are hoping they choose to join the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Because then they all get paid a lot of money.
A lot of money.
So.
Jamie Thornton is here. Trust me, Arkansas and A&M know all about the Texas hate.
Yeah. No. A&M left Texas high and dry because of Texas.
Yeah, they got out of the Big 12 because of the Longhorn Network, and now Texas ditched the Longhorn Network and joined the SEC with Texas A&M.
Longhorn Network started the breakup of the Pac-12. That's how wild is that? Like the Longhorn Network was like a no-go for basically 15 schools.
Yeah.
But oh hey, we'll come back to the Big 12 and we'll sign this media deal. But we get to have our own network and keep the money. And it's like you can see why USC was like, go away. That's an insane proposition to hear. We're going to keep all our money.
For Keith Jackson, it was the pack he loved as well as traditional matchups. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you there.
Nope.
And I'll have a drink for Keith Jackson. R.I.P. Keith, you were the greatest commentator in college football history. Nobody's going to touch you ever. Not from the banks of the Olentangy River here in Columbus, Ohio, where the mighty 11 Warriors of the Ohio State Buckeyes face off against the Michigan Wolverines.
Now, I think my favorite Keith Jackson quote was him saying that he's retiring because he doesn't want to die in a parking lot walking from his car to the stadium.
Timothy Green says the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Texas Longhorns were dead even with wins and losses against each other ever since West Virginia joined the Big 12. Now Oklahoma is another story. And we will salute you for beating Texas.
Yeah.
I normally always root for Texas to lose, but this year I am rooting for Texas to beat that team up north.
Is that game being played up north?
Yeah. Yeah,
Ooh.
it's at the Big House. So.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. Well, don't you guys get them next year?
Who? Texas?
No, yeah.
I don't know.
I was like, I know they canceled the UW. Ohio State canceled the UW game, but they were supposed to, I think, play Texas the same year. But maybe
originally we canceled the UW game to give Oregon a makeup game, and then everything happened that happened.
Yeah.
So
because UW's now looking for a game in like 2026 for Michigan. So 2027.
And then we canceled UConn to add Grambling State because they wanted to get a HBCU in there to showcase that an HBCU team in their band in particular. So
yeah. Which is like everybody, all these Power 5 schools the power schools should all look to schedule them. If you're going to schedule an FCS program, try to schedule them first.
Yep.
Get those
just for the band.
Just for the bands, but get the school out there, get it out there for everybody, so people can see that those schools still exist and have a place in not just college athletics, but in our society. So, got to keep those things going.
Ohio State plays Northwestern at Wrigley. That's fine as long as we're playing them at Wrigley and not that practice field off of Lake Michigan. I mean, literally, you can go to the game and fish and watch the football game. That's how close it is to Lake Michigan. No joke.
No joke. I mean, yeah, you can fish from the stands probably.
Yeah.
I my favorite thing is they hadn't even started building the stands yet. I was like, where's the stadium at? It's just their practice field. I'm like, you guys got to build a stadium here. I don't know. I mean, I can say this as somebody who is a fan of a school where you can fish and watch the game, be outside the stadium.
Yeah, but you can't fish from the stands there.
I mean, you could. You could.
Hell of amount of line in there to pull it off.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people know. There's a little road that goes behind the stadium and then the lake. But yeah, you'd have to go over the top, and then you'd have to bet all the trees and the bushes, and you'd probably catch a lot of sticks and twigs.
If you do decide to fish Lake Michigan, do not eat the fish. Wildcats are the Huskies' first ever big game, week 4.
Yep.
There you go.
Let me say
Purple
this.
on purple.
I looked. We were looking at the tickets for the UW Michigan game this weekend, and the worst seats were $980. The worst seat. The best seats available were going for over $2,000. So
that's one thing you talk about ruining college football. The common fan can't go to a college football game anymore.
yeah. Like, good luck. The University of Washington is going to make a ton more money than they normally do in that game, but also it's like, yeah, there's no way the average fan can go to these games anymore. By the way, it would be the third most expensive game in the history of Seattle, behind obviously the Seahawks going to the 2 NFC title games, because those were absurd. And we've never
if it wasn't for alumni tickets, I couldn't go see an Ohio State game. I couldn't.
Yeah, I was telling people, I was like, you're an alumni, I'm an alumni, use your discount and get the ticket.
Yeah.
I won't be in town, so I'm flying out of town that next day. So I'm like, I'm not gonna go to the game. I got a bunch of stuff to do, but I'm like, like, I should have bought. I have it. I gave them to my dad, but I should have just taken my season tickets and sold them. Look at those prices. Would have made my money back.
Gary Anderson hire from Wisconsin was a bad thing, not positive. I don't remember Gary Anderson at Oregon State. I remember him at Wisconsin. He coached there one season, I believe. Lost to Ohio State 59-0 in the conference championship game and left that.
Yeah, like, he left for there, didn't do well, came back and was even worse. So, like, it was like Oregon State couldn't get there. They couldn't get out of their own way his second stint in Corvallis. But that's how it goes. They got a good coach in the end. And obviously, Jonathan Smith was like, I'm going to take the money and run now.
Detroit has a dome also. They do, Ford Field.
They do, but it's Detroit, so we fully expect
Yeah.
the city to be repossessed at some point.
It's the state of Michigan, so we don't want to play any games there.
Yeah. And it's winter. I don't want, it's just cold. Even though it's a dome. And I've been inside Ford Field. It's nice, but I don't like Ford Field.
The architect grew up in Big Country and loved the Big Ten, played at Colorado State in the mid-90s. I just want the Rams to land on their feet. I think you'll be fine. Colorado State probably is one of the top targets of that rebuilt pack.
They are.
Denver market, just,
Yeah, them, Air Force, they want them. They draw eyeballs. So, yeah, you got to have the Denver market. By the way, people were laughing because I was like, Wyoming's kind of on the list, pretty high. Guess who's only like an hour, 2 hours drive from Colorado State?
Yeah,
Wyoming. So they get a lot of crossover eyeballs.
New member, Expedition Greg, has become a YouTube member. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Makes you a winner, buddy.
Winner.
Make sure you enjoy all the extra content that's on here. We're working on something special for Wednesday, so stay tuned. Hashtag stay tuned.
So much going on.
Yeah. Keep chopping. Homer take, but Shiano is one of the best coaches in the country. He would be unreal with more resources.
Oh, God. If he'd have been able to keep that Tennessee job instead of them running him out for stupid stuff. Oh my God, Tennessee would be ridiculous. Fully believe that.
Rock and Rant here with the comment of the night. ACC welcomes Stanford and Cal early, still August 1st officially, because they can't afford to celebrate twice. I think I've got a laughing one on here somewhere. Michigan goes to Texas in 2027. Yep, it's a home and away.
Yep.
Or a home and home.
I have a weird feeling that one might get canceled, but it's probably going to be really expensive now. So I'll probably end up keeping it.
Ohio State has a home and home with Texas in 25 and 26. That's good. Quinn Ewers will be out of there.
Arch Manning, though.
Yeah, I'm not sold.
Oh, no, did you see, was it Feinbaum said he expects Arch Manning to be the starting quarterback of the Texas Longhorns at some point this year, and he's like, it's a fact, it's going to happen.
Paul Feinbaum's an idiot.
I was like, Quinn Ewers is a first-round draft pick. There's no way he's going to start over Quinn Ewers. There's no way.
The guy who took him to the playoffs last year, he's going to start over that guy.
Took him from the playoffs.
Because his last name is Manning.
Yeah. Beat Alabama at Alabama is going to start over. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have more faith if his dad was, Peyton or Eli, but it's Cooper's kid, and he was a wide receiver.
Hi from Northeast Kansas, and go BYU and the Big 12. You didn't say go UU this time, Lonnie Johansson. That's all right. You'll forgive you.
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious.
We'll forgive you. Let's see what else we got here. Clint Moses, that was once a Pac idea to schedule HBCUs.
Mm-hmm. That was pushed by Stanford, I believe. Stanford and Cal really wanted it, and all the schools really liked it. Wazoo played Grambling State here in Seattle one year, and paid for the band. The University of Washington State paid for their band to come up here because they wanted the band. So
yeah, I think that'll be cool to see if they do something with the Ohio State marching band.
Yeah. I can't wait to see these bands here in Seattle, because they're so big in the Big Ten. The Pac-12 bands are tiny. Most of us just told Stanford to get lost because they were going to do something stupid on the field. By the way, good luck, ACC. You get to deal with the Stanford band, and they are going to absolutely offend you. Ask Iowa.
I don't know anything about the Stanford band. Are they just obnoxious, or?
Stanford band has been suspended multiple times because they are sarcastic in a fun way. Just you could Google the Iowa Stanford Rose Bowl band fiasco and you'll see it. It's rather impressive. They will take political things and throw it out in their stuff. They will make fun of your school because this is why I said, them being in the Big 12, it was never going to happen. You guys would have been mad.
Yeah.
They would have just been clowning you guys every single time they walked on the field. Stanford band is fun, though. I like it. But, yeah, no, they're smart asses, to say the least.
Shonsky reminds us Gary Anderson is at BYU right now as an analyst. We can bring this up. Unlimited coaches and analysts can now coach.
Oh, damn. This is a scary thought. This is a scary thing. Like last year at USC, they had a former NFL coach as an analyst. There's nothing stopping schools like Washington, for instance. Oregon's been calling us nepotism U because we have Brennan Carroll and we have Belichick as a defensive coordinator. And by the way, both dads have been in the building and are constantly in the building. So there's nothing stopping Jed Fish from going, hey, can I throw you $500K and you just be an analyst? No. Oh yeah. Now you're actually sitting down working with the kids and creating game plans and doing things the schools with unlimited resources like an Ohio State or a Texas. This is scary.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of Ohio State players coming back to coach.
Yeah.
I thought it was bad having Brian Hartline as a wide receivers coach. Just wait.
And it is going to be insane. The number, if Tom Brady wasn't playing or wasn't, in the booth, nothing stopping Michigan from bringing him in as an analyst and letting him talk to the players and work with the players. Tennessee can do that with Peyton Manning now. There's a ton of these guys who are out there who would love to go in and help their alma maters. Miami, Miami's Rock and Rant would say this. Those Miami dudes love the U. They never stopped loving the U. There's nothing stopping those guys from being like, hey, pay me this much and I'll come coach the kids. And the coaching will get better. I will say this, coaching will get better. The play will get better. And we all win for that because when they go to the next level, it's even better. But man, like I would not want to be a G5 right now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
The G5s are the ones that are going to get screwed the most. They can't afford to do this.
Lonnie Johansson asks, what is the outlook for the Pac-2? I say stay the course right now. Hold steady. Let's see what happens with the ACC. If enough teams leave that ACC, you're going to have backfill. And they're going to want power teams, and Oregon State and Washington State would probably be the first two invited to that reformed ACC. And if it doesn't work out that way, you rebuild the Pac-12. You wait till the Mountain West contract expires. You go ahead and take these teams, 6 teams, the best teams from the Mountain West, rebuild the Pac-8, and then throughout, keep expanding until you get back to a Pac-12.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I know Wazoo's had 0 discussions with either of those 2 conferences. Like none, like nothing. They've talked, but it's been months now since they've even had a discussion. One of the 2 told them basically get lost, lose our number, stop calling. The other one was like, hey, yeah, if things happen, but they're only talking to 1 out of the 2, not the other. That is what I also heard. So the ACC may be playing a little bit of, we only want 1 out of the 2. They're going to play them against each other here. But I think stay the course. Don't rush into an option. Don't jump at an option. I mean, if the ACC or the Big 12 calls tomorrow, that's the only reason why you jump. Unless you get a phone call from them, you don't do anything out of the ordinary. You don't want to get stuck in a situation where you're right back where you're at. Because even if I put you up against the ACC and the Big 12, you're going to be a little higher than some other schools, but you're still toward the bottom in terms of value. So you have to just stay the course, see what the world gives you, and explore all avenues before you jump. But I mean, like, unless the ACC or Big 12 call and say, hey, you're going to come in as a full member, you're not jumping. And for them, I think full membership is key here, or at least they got to get more than 20 million. Just
right.
They got to get more than 20 million. So
definitely. Thank you for the super chat again, Lonnie. I appreciate it. OHIO, I will give you that. Almighty Finn is here. Good to see you, Almighty Finn. Hopefully you're behaving yourself. Sergeant Pickle says, in my pack expansion candidates, Colorado State is 3rd out of the Mountain West Conference.
They were top 6 on the list. So that I saw. They were top.
Yeah,
4.
I would put them up. I mean, the Denver market, it's huge.
Yeah, it's them and Air Force. You can kind of interchange the 2. They're both in the market, and they both get eyeballs. So,
Movie Time Blues says, man, so much hate for the ACC, but it's a very prestigious and competitive conference. Unfortunately, money has fallen behind, and the football first crowd doesn't care. I will say this: it was a very prestigious and competitive conference.
It was.
The minute they let SMU buy their way into the conference, they lost all their prestige.
Like all of it. I get asking, like, Oregon, like Stanford and Cal, they're like, hey, we'll take less money to come in. Like, that makes sense, but SMU is just, they were desperate. They were absolutely desperate. And you let desperation cloud your judgment. You guys saw money signs like, hey, this is how we get another $5-7 million every year. And it's like, you got to pay them now. They're not in it for the whole contract. You have to start paying them in a few years. Like, that's what's even worse. You're going to be paying them a half share after a few years. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get the SMU thing. Like, I know their fans are excited, as they should be, but no offense, nobody watched SMU, even in the state of Texas. That's all we kept hearing.
Yeah.
And not just from Big 12 fans. I mean, like Texas State, UTSA fans, North Texas fans are like, nobody watched them. So I don't like it. It's
Daniel Gygax says the most memorable moment I have with the Stanford band when they were on the field. That's one I remember.
Yeah.
The band
That's
is
usually
out
where
on
they
the
get
field,
you.
and then the kid gets bricked.
Yep. Gets
And
trucked
absolutely
over.
deserved it. Absolutely deserved it.
John Elway deserved losing that game.
Yes. Expedition Greg, what is your opinion of Ohio State's new AD, Bjork? He's a good salesman. Let's see if he can actually start closing some of the things he's talked about. He's also the guy who gave that contract to Jimbo Fisher. So he can prove me wrong on that one. He's on probation.
That's such a weird pick. But I get it. The guy can handle a lot of money. And for you guys, that's like a big deal. They got to be able to handle money and fundraise at a high level.
Of money.
Lots of money.
Conundrum says ESPN will announce they're not renewing their ACC extension very soon. That's Josh Pate's breaking news. I said that 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
That's Moen news. That was Moen's theory, I should say. All right. We'll just go to a few more of these, and we'll just kind of wrap it up if that's all right with you, Becky.
Works for me.
WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery True going to carry Mountain West may not appear to be earth-shaking, but in the big picture it is.
That's what we were saying.
We both agree on that.
No, that's a big deal. Even if it's not games that you want to watch, this is a big deal for college athletics. It tells you somebody else is getting in the game. And for schools that like the ACC or the Big 12, where ESPN and Fox may just decide, we don't, we're gonna have to spend a ton more money on these guys. We can't really divvy it out to you guys. This becomes a big deal because now you have an option to get on a streaming platform, which they're supposed to be involved with the ESPN Fox platform, and then you're going to be on a linear station, which I would suspect would eventually be TNT, TBS, more so than True TV. So
right, and you're gonna be on Max. Like you said,
you're gonna be on Max. Like, yeah, nothing like going from dicks and boobs to football.
Yep,
where you already got more dicks and boobs.
There you go. Almighty Finn reminds me he's been behaving. I keep it up. Tony Lawson says SMU is a great university. Nobody's denying that, but they didn't earn their way into the power conferences. They bought their way in. There were more deserving G5s in front of SMU.
Like Boise State, for instance.
Or San Diego State, who was just a couple years removed from a Final Four, a national title game in basketball. Yeah. So,
and like both, I think Boise State was a part of the Big East for all of like an hour. And the Big East collapsed, and they never actually got to join.
Yeah. TCU was, I think, for like 2 or 3 days, and then they left.
Yeah, they were all a part of that group, and then boom, collapse.
Illini Ted says SMU has been paying to play for decades. That's very much true. In fact, somebody on their team allegedly killed 5 hookers while he was playing there. Allegedly. Houston beat SMU 95-21 in 1989. Holy smokes! Who was the quarterback that year? That was
what's his face? That was the Heisman. Yeah.
Andre Ward.
Andre Ward.
His name? Yeah.
Yep. But we need to put that in context too, because SMU had been given the death penalty like the year before. So
put 95 points on a team now.
Yeah, because they didn't have but freshmen. They couldn't. All the seniors were because the death penalty got put on them, and then they got basically a transfer portal was created for the players, and the players got to go. So they didn't have all their best players were gone.
still, you have to think at some point, if you're up 80 points, maybe pump the brakes a little bit. That must have just been him padding his Heisman.
Yeah, I'm like, you would assume that, but I think like Oregon beat, I think it was Portland State this year, like 80-something to nothing, or 80-something to 7, and it was like the other team scored first. But they tried to run the ball and they couldn't tackle him, so it got
Andre Ware, that was the kid's name, Andre
Yeah.
Ware.
Oh,
That must be the year. That must have been the year he won the Heisman.
That was the year he won the Heisman. It was like 89, yeah. Because 90 was it Cordell Stewart, I want to say, or maybe it wasn't Cordell Stewart. 90 was somebody.
Illini Ted, we're going to be nice in basketball. Brad knows what he's doing. There we go. USF is an ACC backfill candidate. Well, of course, because if the ACC loses Miami and Florida State, they're going to have a team in Florida. It's a must.
Yeah. Can we just say, though, because the UW athletic director was on the radio here in Seattle today, and they were talking about the $20 million and all that for the players to pay to play. Gave a nice little nugget that $20 million may not be the final number. It could be more, it could be less. It's still under negotiation. If you're SMU and you get stuck in a position where you have to pay these guys now maybe $30 million because it went up, the revenue ended up going up. And that's what the judge in Northern California decided on, because that's where it's at. You're not getting paid. And you're going to have to start paying these guys that much money. And he said it would start with the 25. So next year, if it gets approved.
If it gets through Congress. So
yeah. Look, it's in the judge's hands. He said now it's at a judge. It has to decide on the number, and then Congress will pass it. It's like a foregone conclusion that Congress will spend 5 seconds on this, and just move on. But imagine being SMU going, hey, to your boosters, hey, we need more money. They're gonna have to figure out something.
Well, you've seen the price of gas. I don't think they'll have any problem coming up with the money.
Nope.
Shonsky says, no, that's wrong. SMU is an absolute power. They were punished for what is legal today. I don't blame them for trying everything they can. I don't blame them for trying. I blame the ACC for allowing it.
Yeah. It's not SMU's fault. They put it out that they do it for free, and somebody took the bait. But also, yeah, SMU was doing it for, free back. They were doing this legally today, illegally then, but they were told to stop like multiple times. Like the NCAA gave them more chances than they did like USC with the Reggie Bush issue. Like,
right.
They gave them chances, and even their own, like even state senators and representatives in the state of Texas were like, and the governor was like, stop doing it, just stop, and they wouldn't do it. So those oil barons, man, they got money coming out their money coming out of their pores. They're just like, here you go. I always do find it funny that the SMU players who were involved with that were like, well, we were getting paid that much. And you're like, dude, you're driving around in like an 86 Camaro. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Gold Trans Am.
Gold Trans Am. Like, come on.
Almighty Finn reminds us Ty Detmer won it in 1990, and then he needs no need to remind me that Desmond Howard won it in 1991.
Yeah. Well, it's okay because Desmond Howard didn't win anything else after he won that Heisman.
No, he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but he didn't win anything else in college. He got embarrassed. In fact, I do recall a player in the Rose Bowl hitting the Heisman pose.
Yeah.
Directing it right at him.
Good. I still don't like Desmond Howard. I just don't think he's very good on College Game Day. That's why I switched to Fox.
He absolutely despises Washington. So we know it. He's open about it.
He's picked Texas A&M to win it all for like 3 years. Let's see. The Big Lubbock. What did I miss? Well, we're getting ready to wrap up Big Lubbock, so you're just going to have to go back and watch it on demand, brother. I don't know what to tell you. So You missed a lot of good stuff. We talked to Pac, we talked to Mountain West. That's pretty much what we've talked about. We've taken your comments and questions and all that good stuff. Anything you want to say, Becky, before we go? Any more nuggets from that interview you wanted to drop?
Sure. Washington, they're looking for a new school president. The athletic director is on the panel on the search committee. So, yeah, he has actual say in who's his boss. There's also a little bit of a hint that Upper Campus may decide to wipe out that debt, maybe that stadium debt, because they could pay it right now with we don't have to go into UW's funds, like their endowments, and it's stupid. We don't have to get into that. They could wipe out the debt, just like done. So a little bit there. Upper Campus is starting to get involved more with athletics at Washington. It was a good interview. He also, he said that this landscape ain't done. He fully expects things coming. And then he hinted, he said, well, he was talking about the settlement for the Congress thing and like paying the players. He said two big things here. The first was he's not a fan of collective bargaining because then they're no longer athletes, they're employees because they're state employees at that point. You start getting to that little gray area, and at that point, the transfer portal has to be reworked. Guys can't just up and go. Everything's a 1-year deal, stuff like that, right? So he's not a big fan of that. He said it gets very complicated, and he's kind of right. But then he also said there may be another settlement coming soon. And he said that.
Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned. We got one more super chat. You got to read it, Becky.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a super chat. I'll read it. Go Blue.
There you go.
There we go.
It's her show, so she had to read it.
I want to
thank Becky for letting me co-host with her tonight. Thanks everybody for staying tuned with us, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Big 12 Mafia show, very special guest coming on.
Who's the guest?
Well, I want to let Bomber reveal it. I'll let Bomber
reveal it
tomorrow. But very, very special guest, a man who knows his way around the Fox network is what I will say. That's the tease. A man who knows his way around the Fox network. So until then, we will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Peace out, guys.
Bye, guys.